Millionaire forgot his briefcase. The poor taxi driver who found it changed his life. The rain pounds mercilessly against the windshield of Jake Morrison's weathered yellow taxi as it crawls through downtown Chicago's congested streets. At 45, Jake's calloused hands grip the steering wheel with the desperation of a man who's been barely hanging on for too long. The November downpour seems to mirror his life, relentless, cold, and unforgiving. His taxi tells the story better than words ever could. Duct tape holds the cracked vinyl seat together. A thermos of coffee sits beside him like an old friend. And taped to the dashboard is a small photo of his teenage daughter, Emma, the only light in his increasingly dark world. The radio crackles to life with static and hope. The dispatcher's voice cuts through his thoughts like a lifeline. Unit 47, pickup at the Fairmont Hotel, Michigan Avenue. Jake's tired eyes brighten. The Fairmont means money, business executives with expense accounts, tourists who tip well. Tonight, he needs all the help he can get. Unit 47, en route. The taxi pulls up to the grand entrance of the Fairmont Hotel, where doormen in pristine uniforms rush to assist guests under massive umbrellas. Through his rain-streaked window, Jake watches wealth and privilege flow in and out of the golden-lit lobby like a river he's never been allowed to swim in. Richard Blackwood emerges from the hotel, commanding attention even in the downpour. At 52, he wears success like armor, perfectly tailored coat, Italian leather shoes, and an air of authority that money can't buy but years of ruthless business dealings can cultivate. He slides into the back seat while barking orders into his phone, barely acknowledging Jake's existence. O'Hare Airport. Terminal 3, and make it fast. My flight leaves in 90 minutes. You got it, sir. As they pull away from the curb, Jake glances in the rearview mirror. Richard juggles two phones, a tablet, and a very expensive leather briefcase that he places carefully beside him like it contains the secrets of the universe. The conversation that follows makes Jake's stomach turn. Richard speaks about buying shares of Morrison Industries, the same company that laid off Jake's brother last month. He talks about liquidating pension funds that will affect retirees, about destroying people who've crossed him, about making billions while others lose everything. These aren't just numbers to Jake. They're real people with real families, struggling, just like he is. Every callous word from the back seat feels like a personal attack on everything Jake believes in. They race through Chicago's maze of construction and traffic, Richard growing more impatient by the minute. When they finally reach O'Hare Airport, Richard throws exact change at Jake, no tip, and rushes toward the terminal entrance. His phone still pressed to his ear like a permanent appendage. As Jake prepares to drive away, something catches his eye in the rearview mirror. There, on the back seat where Richard was sitting, is the leather briefcase. Jake calls out, but Richard has already disappeared into the chaos of one of the world's busiest airports. Jake stares at the briefcase, his heart pounding. The leather is so fine it practically glows under the cab's dome light, and there's a small golden nameplate that reads, R. Blackwood. The weight of it surprises him as he lifts it, heavier than it looks, as if it's carrying more than just documents. Later that night, Jake climbs the stairs to his modest second-floor apartment in a working-class neighborhood where neighbors still know each other's names. He finds his daughter Emma at the kitchen table, surrounded by college brochures and financial aid forms like a general planning an impossible battle. Dad, how was tonight? Jake tries to hide the briefcase behind his back, not wanting to burden her with whatever complications it might bring. Oh, same old grind. Emma's eyes shine with hope as she shows him scholarship applications for Northwestern University's journalism program. The tuition alone costs more than Jake makes in 3 years, but he can't bring himself to crush her dreams with reality. In his small bedroom, Jake sets the briefcase on his bed and stares at it for what feels like hours. The ethical thing would be to find a way to return it, but curiosity gnaws at him like a persistent ache. What if there's something inside that could help him track down this our Blackwood? What if it's just documents? After a long internal debate that feels like wrestling with his own soul, Jake carefully opens the briefcase. His world stops. Stacks of cash fill the briefcase. More money than Jake has ever seen in one place. Hundreds of $1,000 bills, neatly organized in bundles, that represent more wealth than he could earn in several lifetimes. But the money is just the beginning. Documents lie beneath the cash like buried secrets waiting to be unearthed. Contracts, financial statements, and what appears to be inside information about stock trades. Jake's hands shake as he picks up a folder marked Confidential FDA Investigation. The contents make his blood run cold. Documents detail how Blackwood's pharmaceutical company has been covering up dangerous side effects of a new arthritis medication. The paperwork shows they knew the drug could cause heart problems in elderly patients, but they buried the studies to rush it to market and maximize profits. Jake reads testimonies from whistleblowers who tried to expose the truth and how they were silenced through legal threats, payoffs, and worse. At the bottom of the briefcase, a handwritten note makes his hands tremble. Payment for Senator Williams. $500,000 for healthcare bill vote. Usual offshore account. This isn't just money. It's evidence of corruption that reaches the highest levels of government. People are dying because of Richard Blackwood's greed. And Jake holds the proof in his shaking hands. He picks up the photo of his late wife Sarah from his nightstand. She was a nurse who dedicated her life to helping others, even while fighting her own battle with cancer. Her memory seems to whisper to him about what's right and what's easy, and how they're rarely the same thing. Jake carefully places everything back in the briefcase and closes it. Tomorrow, he'll figure out how to return it. It's the right thing to do, even if it means watching Emma's dreams slip away like water through his fingers. But as he's about to put the briefcase in his closet, Emma calls from the living room, her voice filled with excitement and disbelief. "Dad, you have to see this. It's on the news." Jake hurries to find Emma pointing at the television screen, where a breaking news banner scrolls across the bottom. The news anchor's voice fills the room with words that make Jake's world tilt on its axis. Breaking news tonight: FBI raids the offices of Blackwood Pharmaceuticals following allegations of fraud and corruption. CEO Richard Blackwood's whereabouts are currently unknown, though sources say he may have fled the country. The screen shows FBI agents carrying boxes of evidence out of a gleaming corporate headquarters. Photos of Richard Blackwood flash across the screen. The same man who sat in Jake's taxi just hours ago. The same man whose secrets now sit in Jake's bedroom. Emma shakes her head in disgust. Can you believe it? This guy was stealing from people's pension funds and covering up dangerous drugs. I hope they catch him. Jake stares at the screen, then at the briefcase in his hands. The weight of what he's holding suddenly becomes crushing, and he realizes he's not just a taxi driver who found a lost briefcase anymore. He's become a key player in one of the biggest corruption scandals in Chicago's history. Jake doesn't sleep. He sits at his kitchen table as dawn breaks over Chicago, the briefcase in front of him like a silent witness to his internal struggle. His third cup of coffee has gone cold as the morning news continues to unfold the magnitude of the investigation. Each update makes his situation more complicated, more dangerous. The news anchor's voice fills the quiet apartment. The FBI has issued a warrant for Richard Blackwood's arrest on charges of securities, fraud, bribery, and conspiracy. Anyone with information about his whereabouts is urged to contact authorities immediately. Emma emerges from her bedroom, dressed for school, and immediately notices her father's haggard appearance. "Dad, you look terrible. Did you sleep at all?" "Just couldn't turn my brain off. Work stuff." Emma studies his face with the intuition that children develop when they've had to grow up too fast. "Maybe you should take a day off." You've been pushing yourself too hard since Mom died. After Emma leaves for school, Jake is alone with the briefcase and his conscience. He opens it again, staring at the cash that could solve every problem in his life. Emma's college tuition, the medical bills from Sarah's cancer treatment, the second mortgage that keeps him awake at night. All of it could disappear with this money. But those documents represent something much bigger than his personal struggles. They represent lives lost, families destroyed, and a system corrupted by greed. Jake picks up his phone and makes the call that will change everything. Chicago Police, 14th District. I need to speak to someone about, well, I found something that might be related to the Blackwood case. An hour later, Jake sits in a sterile interview room across from Detective Maria Santos, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s who's seen every type of criminal and good Samaritan the city has to offer. Her expression grows more serious as she examines each document from the briefcase. Mr. Morrison, do you understand what you've brought me here? This could be the key to bringing down one of the biggest corruption scandals in Chicago history. I figured it was important. Detective Santos holds up the FDA documents, her voice heavy with the weight of tragedy. These documents show that Blackwood's company knew their arthritis medication was causing heart attacks in elderly patients. They've been covering it up for months while people died. Jake's stomach drops as the full magnitude of what he's holding becomes clear. And this. She holds up the note about Senator Williams. This is evidence of bribing a federal official. This briefcase could send a dozen people to prison. Detective Santos leans forward, her eyes intense. There's something else. Mr. Morrison, there's a substantial reward being offered for information leading to Blackwood's arrest. The SEC is offering $2 million for information about securities fraud. And the families of the victims affected by the covered-up drug studies have pooled together another $500,000, $2.5 million. The number echoes in Jake's mind like a bell tolling. More money than he could spend in several lifetimes, enough to give Emma any future she wants. Of course, you'll need to testify, and there might be some danger involved. Blackwood has connections, and people like him don't go down without a fight. Danger? We'll provide protection, but I won't lie to you. You've just made some very powerful enemies. Are you prepared for that? Jake thinks about Emma, about her college dreams, about the life he could give her with that reward money. Then he thinks about the elderly patients who died because they trusted a medication that their doctors believed was safe. Detective, I need to ask you something. Those people who died because of the heart medication, do you think they would have lived if this information had come out sooner? Based on these documents, absolutely. The company knew about the side effects 6 months ago. If they had issued a recall then, dozens of people would still be alive. Jake closes his eyes, seeing Sarah's face during her final months. She fought for every extra day she could get, and the thought of someone cutting lives short for profit makes him sick with rage and determination. Then we do this. We bring him down. Walking down the steps of the police station later, Jake feels lighter than he has in months. The briefcase is now evidence, tagged and logged, but the weight of the secret is off his shoulders. For the first time since Sarah's death, he feels like he's done something that would make her proud. His phone rings, shattering his momentary peace. Hello? The voice on the other end is disguised, electronically altered, but the menace is crystal clear. Mr. Morrison. Jake Morrison, 1247 Maple Street, apartment 2B. Father of Emma Morrison. Age 17. Student at Lincoln High School. Jake's blood turns to ice in his veins. Who is this? I think you know. I want my briefcase back. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play games with me. I know you took it to the police. I have friends everywhere, Jake. Friends who can make your life very difficult. The threat hangs in the air like a blade. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a chance to reconsider. That briefcase contains private property. Return it, and I'll make it worth your while. $5 million, cash, no questions asked. $5 million. Emma could go to any college she wanted. They could disappear, start fresh somewhere safe, somewhere far from all of this. But if you testify against me, if you help them use my property against me, then I'll have to protect myself. And unfortunately, that might mean protecting myself from you and your daughter. The line goes dead, leaving Jake standing on the sidewalk. Shaking, he looks back at the police station, then at his phone. He knows how these things work. By the time police can act, it might be too late. That evening, Jake paces his living room like a caged animal, checking the locks on his door. Repeatedly, every car that passes on the street makes him jump. Every shadow could hide a threat. When Emma comes home from her part-time job at the diner, he practically tackles her with a desperate hug. "Dad, what's wrong? You're acting weird." Jake tells her everything: the briefcase, the police, the phone call, the threat. Emma listens with growing alarm, her face paling as the reality of their situation sinks in. "Dad, this is serious. We need to call the police." "I did. Detective Santos is sending a patrol car to watch the house. But Emma, these people have resources. They have connections in places we can't even imagine." Before Emma can respond, there's a sharp knock at the door. Both of them freeze, hearts pounding in unison. "Mr. Morrison, this is Detective Santos. I need to speak with you." Jake looks through the peephole and sees Detective Santos with two uniformed officers, their expressions grim. "Detective, what's wrong? We need to talk." Richard Blackwood was found dead in his hotel room in the Cayman Islands 2 hours ago. Apparent suicide. Jake and Emma exchange shocked glances, but Detective Santos isn't finished. "But here's the thing, we have reason to believe he didn't kill himself. We think his associates did it to keep him quiet, which means the people who killed him are still out there, and they still want that briefcase. So we're still in danger? I'm afraid so. But I have good news. The FBI is offering you both witness protection. New identities, relocation, the works. You'll be safe. What about the reward money? That's still yours. The information you provided has already led to multiple arrests. Senator Williams was taken into custody an hour ago, and the FDA has issued a recall on the medication. You've saved lives, Mr. Morrison." Jake sits down heavily, the weight of everything finally hitting him. Emma puts her hand on his shoulder, her touch grounding him in the moment. "Dad, what would Mom have wanted?" Jake looks at his daughter, then at the photo of Sarah on the mantle. Sarah always said that doing the right thing wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it. Some choices define who you are, and this choice will define who he becomes. "Detective, we'll take the witness protection, but I want to make sure my testimony puts these people away for good. It will. Thanks to you, we have enough evidence to dismantle the entire operation." 6 months later, Jake, now going by the name David Miller, sits in the back of a federal courthouse in Oregon, watching as the last of Blackwood's associates is sentenced to life in prison. The trial made national headlines, and the pharmaceutical company has paid out billions in settlements to the families of victims. Emma, now Emily Miller, sits beside him. She's been accepted to Northwestern University with a full scholarship, paid for by the reward money that was placed in an untraceable trust fund. They've built a new life in a small, peaceful town where Jake works as a mechanic and Emma volunteers at the local animal shelter. "Dad, do you ever regret it? Giving up our old life?" Jake looks at his daughter, then out the courthouse window at their new hometown. "Emma, I gave up an old life that was barely a life at all. Look at what we have now." Through the window, they can see the mountains in the distance, the clean streets of their new home, the promise of a future built on integrity rather than desperation. Mom would be proud. Yeah, she would. As they walk out of the courthouse hand in hand, Jake reflects on the journey that brought them here. A forgotten briefcase, a moment of honesty, and a choice to do what was right instead of what was easy. The briefcase that changed his life didn't just contain money and secrets, it contained a choice. And choosing to do the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when it costs you everything you thought you wanted, is the only way to live with yourself. Integrity isn't about what you get, it's about who you become. And sometimes, who you become is worth more than anything you could ever own. In the end, Jake learned that the greatest treasure isn't what you can hold in your hands, but what you can see in the mirror. And for the first time in years, he likes what he sees looking back at him.
Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching from. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.